Hello friends, let us study about the function testing. After studying of unit test, integration test, function, now the function testing. So what is the functional testing is? The functional testing is about your function. That means your requirement is converted into a function, into the functions, and those functions are put into the test. Now, let me read out. One does not have access to the internal details of the program, and the program is treated as a black box. That means in a black box testing, what are we intent for? What are we evaluating about the requirements, the feature which is to be tested? Correct. We are not going internally that how it is constructed, what in what way they are constructed, how they are related, how they are coded. No, we are not in that position to look at. We were positioning to look into the requirements. Now, here the test engineer is only concerned with the part that is accessible outside the program, not the internal way. He will not get inside the program at all. Now, the idea behind of structural testing and the functional testing, the structural and the functional testing may be so accordingly, author define them as separately or maybe same way does not give a programmer and a test engineers a choice whether to design a test case from a source code or from the requirement specification. That means the functional testing will not uh, or that does not give a programmer, not the programmers, not the test engineer, a choice. A choice will not opted from where? From the design to design the test cases from the source code or from the requirements. Because from the requirements you can generate your source code test cases, and from source code you can also generate those test cases. Now the function in mathematics. Now the functional way. Accordingly, a mathematical formula is being derived, that is it is paired, it is ordered pair into xi and yi, where xi is treated as input value, vector input value. The term is vector, uh, and y is the vector of output value. It means x and y are the input and output values, vector values. Next, the functional testing. In a functional testing, a program P, that means P is the viewed as a function that transforms the input to output. Correct. That means yi, that means my output vector is equal to p in the bracket of xi. P is one of predicate, my function. So my xi is input vector that is converted into output vector with some program, with some code, with some functions. What is that function? From where that function is derived? From the requirements. Three key elements of function are its important: input, output, and expected transformation of input to output. So, if my requirement is gathered correctly with the lack of knowledge, with the lack of knowledge, if my input is not correct, collected correctively without the person who has the knowledge, or I can say in a simple word, the lack of knowledge, that the entire thing will come down, the entire thing will be a fail or a fault, because that requirement matters. Now, entire thing, the mathematical, according to the mathematical expression, your requirement is converted into a function. So that function generates from input to output, and that expected output is expected. So precisely identify of the domain of each input and output variable is required, is must. So now select the values from the data domain of each variable having the important properties. The first thing, then consider the combination of special values from different input domains to design test cases. Because this will hamper your work if that is correctly not corrected. Next is consider the input values such as the program under test produces special values from the domain of the output variable. Now, these are the list given us that how your inputs will be generated or taken from the domains, how the combination of spatial values from the domains can be led to a test cases and how they cannot be failed. Then, functional testing techniques include the pairwise testing. The pairwise testing, that means the possible combination, a set of sequence or a possible combination is tested. Input variable is covered by at least one of the test cases. That means pairwise testing requires a subset of test cases vector covering all pairwise combination of values instead of all possible combination. You are not choosing the all possible combination but a pairwise input vector so that it can easily find out where the fault lies. Now the pairwise testing is also referred to as all pair or two-way testing. How? One can generate three-way or four-way to combine to cover all combination of values. Like you can use it's a two-way. You use input and output. You can use the input like three or two four variables. So this combination of values or more variables it will be. For example, 2, 3, 4 consider the size of the test suits grow rapidly. So here we ended with the functional testing. Now you can do your own exercise of unit testing, integration testing, functional testing in your small code. Next time we'll meet with acceptance testing. Till then, enjoy your testing. Bye.